Hey, Pastor Steve Waldron, this, when it came out, was a monumental, earth-shifting book by J.P. Green, Sovereign Grace Publishing, and it is unholy hands on the Bible, unholy hands on God's holy book. Now, this particular volume, I mean, it's very well done. May have even been like with Christian Book Club of the Month or something, Sovereign Grace Trust Fund, and I think it went on to be published maybe by Baker. Unholy Hands on the Bible, Volume 1, copyright 1990, J.P. Green Sr. What this is, he's from Lafayette, Indiana. Good folks up there. The Carsons doing a great job up there. This is 6 Dean Burgon books in one. Now, I've read and started reading some of the ones that were put out by the Bible for Today, I think. Maybe it was the Dean Burgon Society. I think sometimes the Dean Burgon Society and the Bible for Today kind of blend that. And I remember it used to be, man, the Dean Burgon Society, they had over 3,000 resources defending the King James Version of the Bible. But Dean Burgon, what he did, he was contemporaneous with Scrivener, Westcott, and Hort, and he just eviscerated the Westcott and Hort theory in an amazing way. I mean, just a fantastic way. And to me, it's unanswerable. I'm not sure if he's ever been answered. It's kind of humorous to me. I had a friend of mine write on the Bible. He wrote some good things on the Bible, but he really hates and despises the King James Version. And so in describing William Dean John Burgon, he says a lover of lost causes, as if that has something to do with scholarship. Just when he was talking about F.W. Kenyon, he calls him Dean of Biblical Critics or something. But holy, unholy definitions. And so this is just phenomenal. Burgon rejected this New Testament criticism. Now, Burgon is not what we would necessarily call a King James only guy. He would probably be in what goes for a Byzantine text guy now, Byzantine combined with the King James only. Because he would probably defend the King James maybe a little more than some Byzantine text folks would, but then he would definitely not be King James only. But the value he's got is, first of all, he went into all the early church fathers and did like 85,000 quotations of scriptures or something, and just showed that the early church fathers were quoting from a traditional text before the supposed Hezekian recension in 425 AD in Antioch. And so that the originals must have been known to them. And that textual criticism is really devolved into this Greek-only thing. When even Bruce Metzger and Allen, they bring in other sources and other witnesses, because it's not just Greek-only. I mean, and we've gone into videos on what languages was the original New Testament written in, because there's various things there. But then he shows, so another thing he shows besides the early church writers is that Vaticanus and Sinaiticus do not represent a united text type. It's not like you have these two that are the same against the traditional text, 95% of all the manuscripts in existence, or even 98% of all the manuscripts in existence. Is you've got these two that disagree several thousands of times amongst themselves, several thousands of times in the Gospels alone. And then you have the primacy really of B, is what it was called, which is another name for Vaticanus, causes of corruption of the traditional text. And so this is just a great book. You can still get this. I've had this copy for many, many years. Last I checked on Amazon, it was 30-something bucks. eBay the same way. Free shipping. I can't find it any cheaper than that. You might can. But, this is just a tremendous book to have, because he was such a learned scholar as well. And so his incisive reasoning, I wonder sometimes too, like people who are against the King James and against, as he calls it, the traditional text of the Gospels, that have they ever read like Burgon? Have they ever read Hills? Have they ever read David Otis Fuller and these type things? Because have they even read David Cloud? David Cloud's amazing. So Unholy Hands on the Bible, Volume 1, Introduction to Textual Criticism, and J.P. Green wasn't a King James only guy. He's the one that did like the King James 2, King James 3, King James 21st century, I think. And you remember, and I do credit like Gail Ripplinger for bringing out that even in the 1850s, you had, I forget if it was Fenton John Anthony or, B.H. Westcott, Brooke Foss Westcott, B.F. Westcott, which one it was that said, the vile Textus Receptus. And so this is just a great book. This, Hill's books, Believing Bible Study in the King James Version Defended, David Otis Fuller's books, they would really be the starting point. And, a lot of people, too, split a lot of hairs. Like, you've got people calling D.A. Waite a heretic, Dean Burgon Society a heretic, David Cloud a heretic, because they've all got different nuances in King James. But basically, anybody who's defending the King James as the best translation, I find a lot of affinity with, and that's just me. So, an introduction to textual criticism, Unholy Hands on the Bible, Burgon and Green, Sovereign Grace Trust Fund. God bless. Talk with you later in Jesus' name.